himself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on, so Nurov in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And it definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down it towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. It's now Pike going to have a go at Werrell. Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot have fun. Yeah, it's all about the entertainment. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching. The Burger King machine's off into the grass a little bit there. Is that really bunching up now?
Standing out from the crowd is a challenge. You have the passion, courage, and ambition to do something extraordinary. You have an awesome story to tell and a wonderful vision to share with the world. At Eddie Videos, we take that vision and turn it into reality so you can be heard above the rest. You need something different, and we give you the ultimate advantage. We can help you transform your ideas, images, and clips into a professional video that brings your message to life and sets a new bar for excellence. Visuals, voiceovers, editing, animations, whatever you need, we've got it all. If you're a new business looking to make your mark or an experienced company searching for something new and amazing, we're here to help. Trust us to take your video to amazing levels of awesomeness.
Does he have it?
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start chopper. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's gonna do it. Big Barry! Good evening and welcome to the Radical World Series Americas. I am James Parfitt and hopefully I'll be joined in the booth by Dean Biggles here this evening as well. Good evening, CJ. I hope you are well, young sir. Thanks so much for joining us. We have got Sebring in the dark, 5.79 kilometers in length, and we've got 17 corners, including a Le Mans, the Sunset Bend, the famous last corner of Sebring, where it is very, very bouncy and bumpy. And don't forget, we've also got the hairpin as well up into turn 13, where we've got Tower, Bishop, and that Le Mans corner, that double, that left, and then that right. And it's going to be absolutely amazing. Let's catch you up to date with the scores here currently as well. And Franco Sanchez is out in front on 236 points with Christian Viscara on 192. Rafael Benavides on 178. Joan Puyo on 168. Rafael Blanco on 150. Eric Harmon on 141. And then Stephen Place on 138. Philip Wyatt on 122, Mateus Moraes on 102 with Ty Kim and Diego Zuccarelli at the bottom. In the AM Championship is Richard Hearn out in front, drawing with Joel Jacklin on 168 there as well, and they're both on the same score. Andrew Sinnop on 148, Charles Krasick 146, Mike Klausing on 136, Max Siegel 120, Santiago Garbadoni on 90, Jean Benawalid on 74 with Cedric O'Han on 68, David Anderson 66, Brandon Wright 42, Tyler Edwards, Kevin Mulverhill, Nicholas Seville and Edward Stanislawski. Now in the team championships, in the pros currently at the moment, It is a Virtual Racing Peru 1 out in front on 410 with Virtual Racing Peru 2 on 360. Abana Sim Racing on 150 and then Waterback Racing on 141. Team Radline Can-Am on 138, Hydro Race Geodesic Racing on 122 and On Wheels TV on 102 with Event Matrix on 42. In the AMs, we've only got 4 teams. Virtual Racing Peru 3 on 238 with Elite West on 168, Lima Racing 142 and then Virtual Racing Peru Solo down the bottom on 24 points. It is Sebring. We are into qualifying at this moment in time with Chad Verbos, who is new to the series this evening as well. You are going to have to trust us, guys. We do have liveries on their cars as well, but obviously in the dark, it's very difficult to see. We've got the likes of Chad, Philip Wyatt, Eric Harmon, Brendan Wright, Richard Hearn, John Benawale, Joe Jacqueline, Andrew Sinip, Christian Viscara, Charles Krasic, Joan Puyo, Rafael Benavides, and Rafael Blanco there as well. I believe I have got the mighty Dean Biggles in the booth. Good evening, Dean. How are you, sir?
Aye, Captain, you do. G'day. I was here just a little earlier. In fact, I haven't left, my friend. I'm still here at Sebring, here for the European Championship a little bit earlier. But it seems to me that they're running a little darker than what they were earlier, because I can barely see anything. And again, they rely on those headlights, my friend, because the track is not illuminated.
Yeah, it's very difficult to see, isn't it, in the dark within iRacing as well. The weather at the moment is 25 degrees centigrade there as well is the track temperature. So it's slightly cooler, of course, as well, and quite a long lap. How was the Europeans earlier on?
All right, James, if any of the drivers are listening out there at the moment, because remember, there's no pit stops, okay? Mm-hmm. So it's just go, go, go. Fuel, James, fuel. How many times have you been down motorway, mate, and the needle's like not only under the E, empty, but into the very red danger zone?
Yep.
Put it this way, my friend, if you haven't watched it back earlier, that is a key, crucial component to this race.
So you reckon fuel?
Absolutely.
Well,
I don't reckon for the fuel. There's proof of fuel. Spoiler alert. Should I tell them spoiler alerts or not?
I don't know if you want to.
Put it this way, my friend. Pro class leader and essentially almost AM class leaders both did not finish in their positions that were leading because of fuel.
Oh dear. Wow.
So
we'll have to see.
It's a tough balance. It is a tough balance that drivers are going to have to somehow manage. And you don't want to be leading, James, practically every single lap of a race, and then on the last lap lose it out because you forgot to put just enough gas in the tank.
Well, hopefully somebody is listening there as well. Nice to see Biggles back in the booth, says CJ.
Yes, CJ. Thank you very much, man. Nice to see CJ down there pit lane. CJ, you'll be able to love it. You'll be able to love this one with the fuel management, because that was key. And actually, a lot of the drivers that we were speaking to in the post-race interviews were saying we were out of gas by the time we got to the line. We were literally out of gas. So we were rolling across there. That tank was empty, but of course they just had enough momentum to get across the line, James. So I'm telling you, this is going to be a key strategy. Who's going to put right? And remember too, James, they can't change the fuel load at the start either. Everybody's fixed what you have. So it's about the balancing it during the whole race.
So is that down to setup not having enough fuel then?
Must be. I mean, CJ probably out there could answer that one. But it has to be something. It has to be, how you're coasting, how you're managing your laps. Like, talking about saving just a few liters or so just to get you to the end. So that's got to come down to, I wouldn't recommend everybody going out there doing qualifying laps during the whole race, because there's no way you're going to get to the end unless you box.
Well, it's going to be very, very interesting then to see who manages to get to the end and who doesn't here this evening as well. Obviously, the fix-up is very, very close on fuel. Same, to be honest with it, at the Nordschleife. We've got John Bonewale going green and purple on the board at the moment. Where's he going to put himself? Is he going to jump into that pole position spot? He does on the first man into the 155. 8:09 there, a stellar lap from John, but we got the likes of Eric Harmon. Christian Viscara is just about to go over the line as well. And what is Christian going to do? Heads to the other side of the circuit. I'm surprised they don't just run it straight up into the wall. But then again, it goes pole anyway on a 155.672. So this track I do love with the radicals. It is a great combination. However, the bumps and the curbs are just a little bit of a killer here this evening as well. They've got to be careful of them.
They're a nightmare. I mean, I had the privilege of Adam being in the casting box with me. We all know Adam races as well as commentators, but he races with your JP casting league as well. Adam Hedgecock, of course, that puts on some of those fantastic graphics that you see in the intro videos. And he is I love having a co-cast as a driver, James. You are, but let's say, come on, you're old school now with driving.
Yeah, not really now anymore because my rig's up in my
But he even
boys' room.
explained the fact that there's some walls here that they still have that little iRacing thing. If you get a little bit too close to them, my friend, they come out and bite you somehow and in like a really random way. So there's a lot of other elements at play here. But bumpiness is absolutely, car throws up, your little 4 points of contact aren't contacting the track anymore, and bingo, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things they're going to have to look out for here. The curbs, the bumps round turn 1, the bumps round turn 17, round Sunset, of course, which we have been used to, that sweeping right-hander that we are coming into right now with Richard Hearn. And you can see they're trying to keep all 4 wheels on the grass, on the tarmac as well, and also try and keep it from bumping out on you there. Benoit is back in the pit lane. Richie Hearn goes into 156.112. What about Eric Harmon currently as well? He's racing up to the start-finish line. Is there going to be an improvement on Harmon's time of that 156 dead? There is 155.854. So the 5th man into the 155s there, and a stellar job by all of them. Joan Puyo has got purples on the board as well. He's running down that Ullman straight now before he goes round the final corner here. Let's see if Puyo is going to top Sanchez, who's just on a 155.468 there. Some incredible lap times going on at the moment. Well in the 155s at the moment.
James, just like earlier as well, too, we added a German domination for the 1, 2, 3 for the qualifying. Now we're having a Peruvian domination for the 1, 2, 3 with John and the Canadian driver. But that's actually a fantastic job there for the AM class driver. It's a question I want to ask CJ out there as well, too, mate, because it seems that some of this track is tarmac and some of this track, or bitumen, and some of this track is concrete. Kind of like you find in street circuits like Long Beach and stuff like that. Is that could be confirmed? Because you can get that much bumpiness, I'd imagine, on bitumen that you would on like a concrete surface.
It depends on, I think, a lot of the time what the how much running it has had there as well. I do believe that it does suffer with degradation, and basically, it's like anything, nothing lasts forever. Do you know what I mean? And tarmac and concrete both deteriorate as best as they can. So I think at the end of the day, they probably got some deterioration across it. Don't forget, it was an old airfield as well that they then decided to make into a racetrack. So, it is asphalt and concrete. So there we go.
Okay, so it is a mixture.
Yeah, it's a mixture.
Fair enough.
Asphalt and concrete.
It would make sense.
Yeah. Let's bring you up the grid here for this race. Franco Sanchez out in front with Joan Puyo second, Christian Vizcarra third, John Benoit in fourth, Eric Harmon in fifth. Richard Hearn, 6th, Rafael Benavides, 7th, Joel Jacqueline, 8th, Andrew Sinop, 9th, Rafael Blanco, 10th, Philip Wyatt, 11th, and Chad Verbos is down in 12th place. And on from that, Cedric Ahern, Charles Krasik, and Brendan Wright, I should say, down at the bottom there as well. So, yeah, it's got a mixture of track surfaces. It could be an interesting one to see how they get on with that. I'm probably guessing the bumps generally would come from the fact that the deterioration over the period of time here, Biggles. But we've got 30 minutes of racing ahead of us, so ready to go here with these American Gladiators as well. And pay attention to the start. I have seen some starts here where people do not even go off the start, let alone actually make it down into turn 1. It's going to be turn 1 that will be the problem, as we're waiting now for Rafael Benavides and Rafael Blanco. So both the Rafaels there just chilling, not rushing onto the grid, as they've got about 50 seconds to get on here as well before we start this race, before the lights are up and before we end up going full bore for 30 minutes of racing. As I say, a Peruvian 1, 2, 3, Canadian in 4th, and then the American in 5th and 6th. Peru again in 7th, America 8th, Peru 9th, and the lights are off and we are up and running, and we are green here, and it is Franco Sanchez out in front with Joan Puyo tucked up right behind him as well, as these guys go down now through turn 1. Everybody at the moment does make it through. Do they in the background? They do currently as well, as they're going side by side further back with Eric Harmon here as they're coming into turn 3. Everyone got away, so just as I say that, there was a spinner there as well, and I believe that was one of Joan Puyo, and there's somebody else off track as well, Philip Wyatt off the side of the circuit there. Just about to say everyone got away cleanly, and then Puyo goes off on turn 3.
Yeah, James, you never do that in the first, second, or third corners. I did the same thing earlier. I was like, yeah, they're all through there, but then, of course, there's a little bit of action. A little bit more action in the European one at the back, but yeah, side by side through there. No, you can't do that as well, too. As Juan Pure goes around and around and around. Yeah, I was going to say side by side through that sectors, guys. Remember, you have a 30-minute race. Don't go gambling it too much just yet. You'll lose all your money if you're in Las Vegas right now putting bets on like that.
Puyo off and straight back to the pits for Joan Puyo as he comes a cropper down into turn 8 there, and unfortunately for him, it's all done and dusted on lap 1. He is in the pits, but it is Sanchez and Vizcarra from the Virtual Racing Peru team at the moment fighting out from the front of this race. The front going at it here solidly all at the same time, and then further back we've got Vizcarra sitting in second, and then you've got Krasic and Brendan Wright battling it out further down as well here. I think from Vizcarra's point of view though, Biggles, he's just got to kind of take it easy and try and make sure he can get to the end of the race.
Hey, you got to fuel save. You got to fuel save. You got to fuel save. You don't want to be running it up. That's exactly what happened previously in the European division. Drivers went scooting up the road there, and they realised at the end of the race, my gas tank is empty. So be very cautious. You can see the front two at the moment that James have a 1.5 second gap. He's just a fastest lap Sanchez, but then again, that's just because you've got the first flying lap there. CJ's out there giving us some information out there about Richard Hurd being off. Thank you much, CJ. CJ, I want your reviews on that fuel situation, because you're a fantastic pit lane reporter, and I'm just a little scared of these drivers. You can't be putting banker laps in over and over again. It's going to punish you at the end.
Yeah, well, they're going to be looking at the 155, 156 mark, I would have thought, as well, as these front two are battling it out here. Sanchez and Vizcarra. And Richie Hurd is off. Andrus Inup is into the pit lane as well. So maybe he knows something that we don't know, or he may have got caught up in an earlier incident, of course, as well, because there was a lot of chaos happening at the start. Richard Hearn down in the midfield here, sitting in 8th and 9th place with Cedric O'Hearn in front of him, and then Philip Wyatt behind him as well. So Wyatt there trying to send it out the inside, get back on the racing line. That's probably going to be the easiest thing here, and just follow. And as Biggle says, fuel save, fuel save, fuel save, because you might just make it to the end here, while others don't, and then gain positions. I think that's one of the things drivers have to be aware of, isn't it? The incidents that happened in the European, they've got to make it to the end. They've got to try and at least save something throughout this race.
You got to, hopefully they have a spotter. The teammates, they do communicate. That was actually occurring as well too earlier in the European division. They were communicating as teammates. They were relaying the information about the fuel situation. They were doing a swap-a-roo sometimes with the teams. They're going to have to do that. I'd imagine the Peruvian drivers at the moment as well for the Virtual Racing Peru are doing that. They're sitting there communicating, probably in Espanol or any language they would like to communicate in, to try to balance that one out. And you could see that between two teammates in P1 and P2. They're easing it up there. Then again, you have Christian now. Vizcarra, that's set the fastest lap. They built that 2-second gap there at the moment to the AM driver in P3, James. Yeah,
Christian Vizcarra there as well has been off track. That's probably why the gap is it's still the same. So he has been off track, but he managed to hold on to that second place. Charles Krasic's not having a good one further down the order, unfortunately for Krasic. He got caught up at the beginning, and it looks like he's also done it again here. But Charles Krasic is coming round Le Mans at turn 15. There you go, catches the curb, which is
Got
what
caught
we
in the
said.
dirty air as he got the momentum speed through the slipstream. That slipstream is almighty too, James. Once you get in that dirty air, you got so much more power. You can see the speed difference. And then, of course, you're like, uh-oh, I'm in a corner. Forget that at the moment, because it could be a switcheroo between the leaders. No, there won't be. They're going to sit there. But I don't know, James. Pushing in 155s. Come on, guys. You got to get the memo. I don't know if they even sat down and watched the race earlier, James. You need to.
Yeah,
That's like a dress rehearsal of what is going to come here tonight.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things, is paying attention to what's going on around you. And at the end of the day, if they're not paying attention to it or they've not looked at it, there's possibilities they're going to be out of fuel, aren't they, at the end of the day? And, you know, when they're chugging across the line and everybody else is going racing past them, well, we'll just have to see how it pans out for them. We've only got 24 minutes left already. We've been going up and running nearly 6 minutes here, and already Vizcarra and Sanchez have opened up 2.6 seconds over Benewalid, of course, leading the AMs with Benavides behind him. And then Richard Hearn down here as well with Cedric Ahun, who is in that Lightning McQueen liveried Radical SR10 as Hearn looks up the inside there. Trust me, you're going to have to trust us. It is Richard Hearn. I know it is dark, but I promise you it is here as well, as these guys go battling around the final corner and then down into turn one. Benavides, fastest lap of the race, 155.706 here. Hearn's going to be looking up the inside into turn one. Is he going to be able to make it through? He is. He slides through. Can Cedric try that cutback and see if he can get him on that run out up into turn 2 and 3? But I think Hearn's managed to hold on to that position, makes it round turn 3, pretty much safe now. Nice overtake from Richard Hearn, got the inside line, job done for him. Now time to move on to the back of Joel Jacklin. Franco Sanchez and Vizcarra are side by side here, Biggles, at the moment as they race down into the hairpin.
Yeah, might be a switcheroo there, James, to maybe just a little bit of a coasting between them at the moment. They still have a comfortable 2.4 second gap. As long as you got to be really stressed. It was the same situation in the European one as well, too. We got teammates battling, my friend. If you're down there in the garage as the team boss, you're like, don't take each other out. Number one rule, they're racing, James. So I don't even think they even get that memo. They're a game on.
Yeah, they definitely are at the moment. And flying along here, and let's see how these guys get on as it goes racing round Tower, down through Bishop. You've got to try and straight line this as much as you can. Keep over on that left-hand side. There you go. Now bring the car in over the curb, kiss the curb on the left, and then you're going to be looking for your braking point as Vizcarra goes through, yeah, literally like that, with Sanchez behind him from the Racing Peru team there as well. So, look, you got to just give it a little smoochie on the cheek as you run off past them there as well, because otherwise they're going to be in trouble, aren't they? You're going to give it a full-blown snog, and you're going to be mounting the curb and round your corner.
And look behind too, James. More importantly as well too, another battle behind. I think that's probably going to be more important than the battle leader, because they're teammates there, but they're not teammates here. So that's going to be the crucial. You can see Rafael, he's trying to get past the Canadian driver. So obviously the Peruvian drivers at the moment want to make it a top 4. And the problem is right now they have a little bit of a maple leaf Canadian in the mix. Right now they're going for it, James. Here we go. Battling, and he's got it. So they've pushed the Canadian driver down into P4 now. Top 3 for the Peruvians.
Yeah, they definitely are. They're out front, and at the moment, this is what it currently looks like here as well. It is basically a Peru 1-2.
Oh, they dropped one. Vizcarra's gone somewhere, James. Vizcarra's had a moment.
Sanchez and Vizcarra both had contact.
So their teammates have come together. No, he's gone off track and he's gone a bit wide, and that's why you don't want to see your two drivers going side by side, James, because that happens. No. Toto Wolff, if he was there right now, my friends, you would need 50 pairs of Bose headphones. He'd be smashing them all over the garage going, do not take each other out, teammates.
And they did in turn 3. On lap 5.
I don't know, yeah. Well, there it is.
You know what I mean? They did it. They did the one thing that we said not to do, and they went and did it anyway. But Blanco is
Racing drivers never listen, James.
No,
they never.
No, dude, you might as well talk to a brick wall and hope to get an answer, to be honest. Because at the end of the day, it's never going to work, as Rafael Blanco and Eric Harmon here, Benavides, has inherited the lead from Sanchez due to contact with Vizcarra in turn 3. Vizcarra is all the way down in 7th place, battling away with Richard Hearn. So can Hearn hold back what was at one point the leader here So let's see how this one pans out for Richie Hearn as Benavides on the left-hand side. He is about 4 or 5 headlights up. There you can see him on the left-hand side there as he's just about to sweep round the inside of Richard Hearn. Behind Richard Hearn is Joe Jacklin, and of course he doesn't want to lose 2 places. However, Jacklin did get a run out of that final corner. He's going to tuck right up behind him. I mean, if Richard Hearn leaves that door open on the inside there, Biggles, he's only going to get one thing, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going to get Big Mac special. No, he's going to get burgled. You all know that one. Oh, what's happened a little bit further back there? See the action between P9 and P10. There's Cedric.
Cedric and Philip there just swapped positions. Philip went up the inside at turn 1 and job done for him. So Cedric now down into 10th, +3 on where he started, but unfortunately he was up a little bit further. Richard Hearn now with Joe Jacklin tucked up right behind him. Benavides nearly opened up a second gap, and then a second to Eric Harmon behind that with Rafael Blanco not far off the lead as well. So Benavides inherited the lead. He's just got nearly just under 20 minutes to hang on to it.
He has a DRS train behind him too. I usually reference the DRS trainers and everybody's within under a second. You see a little bit of a bubble there of P3 hanging in there of Harmon. But if you look at that gap from P1 down to P5, well, they're there, aren't they? And then Viscarda's the one, of course, that went off that moment. And he's now having his own DRS train, and the battle, of course, is brewing there between Wyatt and I'm going to get figured out. I'm giving it to you, James. You can pronounce Cedric's last name.
I think it's O'Han.
Yeah, so you called it the tongue twister.
O'Han. Oh, we'll just call him Cedric.
Cedric.
Sorry, Cedric.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just call him Cedric. There you go. He's having a battle with Philip Wyatt.
James he has the proper English that's taught from, the proper English. So he's not allowed to make excuses getting the names wrong. I can because I'm Australian. We just mess up everybody's name.
A little bit rude.
Anyway, no, that's around, James.
You know what I mean?
You're good. You get them right all the time, mate. So don't worry about it. I'm actually putting the blame on myself for not knowing it properly. Here we go, but.
Yeah, that's because a lot of the European leagues I'm in, Sanchez has just gone up the inside of Benavides. Benavides is there now. Both of these guys from the Virtual Racing Peru team. They've got Eric Harmon, Rafael Blanco, John Benawalid behind them with Viscara trying to close up the 2.2. So we're going to have a 5-car train here, I think, as well in this draft. If it's going to be strong, then this could be an interesting one here with all of these drivers.
Well, no team orders obviously at play, isn't it, with the Virtual Racing Peru team? So if I was sitting back and the other guys in the background, I'd be like, go for it, guys. Because we've seen what happened before when Christian went the wrong end of the stick on this one. It very, very well happen right now. I think the Peruvian drivers are just elbow out. They're like, no team orders at play, and let's have a look at this one. 4-way battle, James. This is going to be tight. Is there in the second sector?
Yeah, Benavides and Sanchez. Sanchez goes back through on Benavides now. Harmon's trying to have a go around the outside of Benavides with Rafael Blanco there as well. Harmon's going to have that inside line. Through. He's going to be through. He is going to be through. Eric Harmon takes up that second place. Benavides is not giving up now at the moment. Blanco's going to try and make it 3 wide. Down a straight that is not made for 3 wide. Benavides goes back through there as well. And at the moment, they're swapping places like an absolute, well, I don't really know on that one. Actually, that's probably one analogy I haven't got for it, but it is getting mighty close in these front 5 at the moment. Some great racing going on.
Big mistake, wasn't it, from Eric out of the corner there? Lost a lot of pace there. And Rafael Blanco, the Argentinian driver, is going to stash that up in a heartbeat, hopefully. Couldn't quite tuck inside there. Once again, the battle for P1 and P2 is resuming between the Peruvian teammates, but keep an eye out there. There's a mistake at the moment. There you got Eric Harmon and John, and they have switched the route there, James, and 16 minutes or so to go.
Yeah, Sanchez taking up the helm again. Benavides is, I think, he is on the inside, and Benavides goes back through. Eric Harmon slips up the inside of Franco Sanchez. Rafael Blanco's trying to get involved, and we're going to have 7 cars very, very shortly here because that 2.2 second gap they had to Viscara, gone. They disappeared. Harry Pottered away from Sebring here as well. So it's all gone, my dear. Magic at the ready because Christian Viscara is on the back behind John Benawalid here and is going to try and make this a nice little tidy 6-car battle with Richie Hearn in the background there as well. So it's all getting very, very tight here with 15 minutes remaining.
I'm kind of wondering whether or not the teammates of the virtual racing crew were holding him up deliberately to bring their other teammate back into play. Christian is running on board right now with. I'm not sure they put that much thought into it, James, because one thing they're not putting thought into is fuel saving. They are burning this, James. They are burning it like you run your own oil company in the Middle East and you can just use as much oil as you possibly can. Unfortunately, boys, it ain't going to work that way. There's only so much gas you have in that tank.
Yeah, the interesting thing, though, you say about whether or not they were holding up there. The last lap times for the front two were 58s and 57s. The time before that was 55s, which is the 2 seconds that obviously Vizcarra has managed to catch up on. So you might say that they haven't put that much thought into it, but by the looks of it, it could be a distinct possibility that they may have done here as well, because now it's turning into, what have we got, 7 cars with Richie Hearn on the back as well. So, you know, at the end of the day, there's a possibility that may have been planned there to have all of their rivals up into that front pack. And at the moment, well, it seems to be working as Blanco and Hearn and Benavides and Sanchez are still going at it here from that front 5.
Oh, I get squeezed up against the wall as well. This is wheel-to-wheel racing. It kind of reminds me of the IndyCar racing earlier there in Nashville, Tennessee, where they got squeezed a little bit. This is great action. This is great racing, James. We didn't get this in the AM wheel-to-wheel like this. Certainly get it here in the America's SR10 Radical Series.
Yeah, Blanco and Vizcarra now as well, going at it further back in 5th and 6th place. John Benavides is there, he's tackling down Eric Harmon, and Sanchez, of course, still fighting away with Benavides here as well. As we go off round Bidbeg, down into turn 7, down into the hairpin. This is where Harmon needs to sit in and try and take as much draft away from Benavides as possible. He nearly tries to look up the inside. Harmon shuts him off once more, and they're going at it again here. The 7-car train are going to be fighting out as well, because it is literally nose to tail all the way through, even from Sanchez and Benavides and Harmon and Benavides, as these guys fighting out for 1st, 2nd and 3rd. Benavides goes in a little bit deep. That brings Harmon back into the line once more here as well, because it's getting very, very close.
Yeah, you get your popcorns, James, to get your seat in the upright position and your tray tables and your seatbelt tightened, because this one is going to be a narrow body. We got 13 minutes or so to go, which is going to give us a handful of laps. And there ain't no gilding between the two teammates for the virtual racing team. They're going for it. They are hopefully communicating and switching road. I don't want to see a couple side by side through here, James. You know what happens? They're going to be murdered or not. Great racing.
Oh, Blanco's on the grass at the moment. He's going to go across. Did Blanco hold on to it? He did, but he lost a place to Richie Hearn there and dropped back nearly 6 tenths. Hearn and Vizcarra managed to avoid him. What's happening up front here with Benavides and Sanchez? Harmon's going to be looking up the inside as well over Sanchez. Sanchez goes down into 3rd. Benavides going to be coming through all at the same time here. I'm not really sure if this cameras might actually work, but we'll see. As you can see, the front 3 now with Eric Harmon. Sanchez going back up the inside over Eric Harmon. Benavides trying to follow him through. Vizcarra's trying to play catch-up in the background there as well. And this is going off a big style. This is getting spicier than the Vindaloo at my curry house, I'll tell you that much. Because at the end of the day, we're going to have 6 cars fighting it out here, Biggles, for this lead. And at the moment, well, Richie Hearn is kind of sitting there at the back trying to make use of all of this. And it's tough when you're at the back because you've got nowhere to go, have you?
No, and I have to say, that's very brilliant job for both the virtual racing team. Every time Eric sticks his nose up there, my friend, like a plastic surgeon that gets chopped off, he's trying his absolute best to battle with the top 2. He gets side by side, he puts a challenge there to Rafael, and then they just somehow finding a way to shut the door on him. They just say, no, I'm sorry, Eric. No, United States of America are allowed here. This is a Peruvian territory. Look at this. That can also backfire, James, because if they try to defend too much, don't you count out the man from the United States of America and the 617 machine, because he can snatch a race victory here, at least in P1. Yeah. If they go, playing with your food too much, James, you could get in trouble with that one.
Yeah, definitely as well. Joe Jacqueline and Rafael Blanco running side by side further back there. I don't want to move away because Harman slipped himself up into second here. If he can get a run out of Le Mans here, there's no doubt about it that he could be in the front by the time he gets down into Sunset. I think he needs to be about 3 tenths to try and make that work at the moment. Harman slipped in there, taking the draft away from Benavides. Andrew Sinop has had a bit of a moment, but I'm not really worried about that for now. As Harman, Sanchez, Benavides here all battle it out. Benawalid as well, going with Vizcarra and Richie Hearn all in the background, and these front 7 are going at it nose to tail at the moment. Nobody's letting up here. These gladiators fighting it out once more here, Biggles, as they go over into the last 10 minutes, and we've still got technically 6 cars who can win this one, with Vizcarra in that 5th place at the moment, trying to get hold of Benawalid. Looking more and more difficult for Vizcarra at the moment. He's not really progressing forward. Benawalid is kind of surviving from the draft from Benavides and Harman. So, yeah, it's tough for Vizcarra at the moment.
Yeah, it is. But James, I'm glad you're probably wondering, like, if you want to be woken up in the morning here in Europe, where you are, this is a great way to wake you up, isn't it? Because look at this racing. This is action 101. This is brilliant. We've seen this all season, but we haven't seen so much of this. And is that, yes, that's exactly, who was that? That's
John Benawalid.
John's gone a little bit too deep there, so the Canadian drivers had to drop back a place. Still, Eric is pushing for the race lead here. Richard Hearn also further back there, trying to capitalize on the Canadian. That's going to be setting a little bit too late there. Has to lift off a little bit. No police maneuver on that one. Lives to see another day. And speaking of one United States of America, there's the other one. Eric has got to push. He wants to take it to Franco Sanchez at the moment. Well, and spoiler alert, of course, the United States, unfortunately, is out of the triple chance of winning the World Cup soccer, but that was beaten on penalties. Yeah. Either way, let's see if Eric can do it for his nation at the moment, at least on the track here for the Radical Series. Yeah,
I did see that earlier on, actually, as well. And now we're looking at Harman closing the gap up on Sanchez ever so slowly. Vizcarra is trying to go up the inside of Benavides. He's going to have the inside line down into Sunset. It is the tighter line, but if you can get a nice little good exit out of it, it might actually work for them here as well. These guys have dropped Benawalid, Blanco and Hearn now, so we have got a 4-car fight. Eric Harman, is trying to go after Sanchez, and this could still be Hearn's win, as Benavides now slipping up the inside of Vizcarra. Doors left wide open there from Vizcarra. I'm not too sure if that was on purpose to try and make this gap close down between them, but Benavides now as well going up the inside of turn 3. He's going to have the inside line for 4 as well. Vizcarra's got nowhere to go. Harman's gone round.
Oh no. So the American driver, the 617 machine, big Chrysler in the background too, James, and a couple of drivers are off. This is what happened similar early in the European Series. It all goes pearl-shaped in the dying stages of the race. What has just happened? Now we have a Peruvian 1-2-3 again.
Yeah, Benawalid also involved in that one with Richie Hearn. And unfortunately for them guys, they are down the order now. Benawalid and Hearn down the back, and now as you say, we've got Benavides with Vizcarra still fighting out, but it is a Peruvian 1-2-3 here, and it all started with Eric Harman, who hit the curb, I believe, as well. So you'll see Eric Harman there in the middle of your picture. He comes off, hits the curb as he comes out of this exit, and it just sort of spins it up, and around he goes over that curb. He's kind of stuck there, and then you've got John Benawalid doing the same thing, hit by Rafael Blanco. There goes Richie Hearn. So unfortunately for Harman, Hearn and Benawalid, it was kind of game over at that point. And now the front 2, Benavides, Sanchez has got a clear run now, 2.1 seconds. And now Benavides and Vizcarra can go at it for 2nd and 3rd. So, yeah, got a little bit messy in the middle after some great racing earlier on.
Tunnel vision, you think one driver goes off, everybody's focusing once again on their line and on the driver. They see the reaction, they react themselves, oops, and they go off. And then, of course, there's a little bit of a collision behind. That's just what you call a motor race. But I'm looking forward to this Rafael Benavides and Christian Vizcarra battle again, as Sanchez sets the fastest lap. Not even worrying about a gas tank or fuel on that one. We'll see how that pans out later on, my friend. But let's see if Vizcarra is going to be happy or not with that contact between the team drivers, or if he's going to want to just snatch this one up from Rafael. Well, you're about to find out on your Pictures Live right here on the JP Broadcasting Network. Hit the like and subscribe if you're enjoying this race. And if you're not, What kind of action do you want to see in a motor race? Because this is absolutely outstanding 101 wheel racing.
Yeah, it definitely is as well. Jacqueline is leading the AMs currently at the moment as well. He's got about a 5-second gap over Cedric. Philip Wyatt's about 3.5 seconds up front of him. Charles Krasik battling out with Eric Harmon. Of course, Eric was leading for a brief corner, and then he was in second, and now he just looks like he's struggling to get that car to stop there. I wondered if he has got damage at the moment, because Krasik is going to make a move round him at this as well on that run up through turn 8 and 9 into turn 10. Is Krasik going to have that inside line? He's not this time around. But from Harmon's point of view, does look about, he's got to get his head back in the game here, Biggles, I think, as well. He looks like he's struggling a little bit once more, but this Benavides and Vizcarra battle up the front are still going at each other here, as we've lost Blanco, Inup and Puyo.
Yeah, James, Eric's, like, his pride has been damaged, of course, because he was battling essentially for a position, for a win of a race. He was hunting down Franco Sanchez, but he couldn't, a little bit of mistakes cost him. So he's got to, as I said, get his head down there. Don't worry about that. Continue to perform the pace. He has the pace. Very difficult, of course, with under 5 minutes to go. But just damage limitation, I always say, when that happens. Because the championship is not decided by this race. It'll be decided by the races you've continued to perform over the season. As Vizcarra is putting the pressure down, isn't he? Fastest lap. They're slowing these Peruvian drivers down at the moment. It's going to be a battle of who wants to be the top set of the Peruvian.
Definitely.
Is it a Peruvian? I think it's Peruvian.
Peru,
We
yeah.
call somebody from Peru.
Charles
Yeah,
Krasik, just as we switched off Krasik here, he had his own little bit of a moment, and he's hit that curb, and he unsettled the car, can't get it under control,
That's
and
those
around
bumps,
he
isn't
goes.
it, James? You don't see it on that, do you? On that external camera. But it's bumpy.
Yeah, oh yeah, this
you're
track
right on
is
board.
horrible. But bumps, it's horrible. If you speak to Ewan O'Leary, he'll tell you that he wants the whole thing repaved, but not entirely sure if that's gonna happen.
Ewan's so picky on tracks, my friend. I didn't think you'd find 5 tracks that you actually agree with. The rest of them, he'd scrap.
I don't, to be honest.
I love Ewan, but he's Ewan are actually more picky than actually, and Zach as well too. You guys are like, yeah. If you had a I don't know, I wouldn't want to be you guys. Oh, but I want to see this action, James. That's more likely. As much as I love you and you guys picking tracks, I want to see this track and this action. Look at this. Come on. If you don't like it, then what are you watching? This is wheel-to-wheel excitement here. Vizcarra wants his position. Raphael's trying to defend it.
Yeah, Benavides trying to hold on there as well as they come round turn 15. They got to go left now, then they're going to go right. Benavides is going to have that inside. This should be Vizcarra's down into Sunset. Oh, they're off!
Oh! It's again happened, James. The teammates have murdered each other. Cut to Toto Wolff. He's not slamming Bo's headphones down anymore, James. He's walked out the garage. He's shut the lights out. He said, I'm going home. Team does not communicate.
What did they do there? Benavides gets out of shape, right? He's already sliding, goes on the brakes. Vizcarra hits him. And then watch this from Benavides. I don't quite understand what this was as he's coming across the track. I'm not
There's
sure.
elbows out, James. There is.
Yeah, but why do the coming across the track? I don't understand. So this is where we're at now. So he goes out, he gets hit now. Right, now watch.
Oh. That's hard.
And then he goes onto the accelerator.
Oh,
and
yes.
then he takes somebody out.
Is it damaged? But could he turn the steering? The steering wheel's not moving.
Yeah,
if you notice, the steering wheel was not moving.
But then why not just sit there? He was on the side of the circuit.
Maybe he had actual. I'll tell you what, James. This does happen just behind the scenes. You know how many times you've slammed something when you get upset, right? We would get frustrated, right? And you go bang, put your hand on the desk, whatever. That's a possibility. You could do that. Disconnect your racing rig or something in frustration. That's a possibility. And that means that the machine's then going to just keep pointing one direction. I'm just putting it out there.
I get that's a possibility, but
Look, he just put the fastest lap in.
yeah,
John in
way,
P10 there in the AM class looking to get the fastest lap there, 155.4. James, 1 minute and change to go. Franco Sanchez leaving this. Both the American drivers are somehow back up there. 9 positions gained for Philip White, you're watching there. Joel Jacqueline in P3. So, you might have not having any chances in the Williams FIA Women's World Cup, but at least they're going to do some. Well, I have to sit back at the moment and see the Peruvians take each other out. That is strange.
Yeah, out of the 5 Peruvians, only one of them's going to finish, and that's the man in the lead as he's coming over for the final lap there. There's the, is that the Goodyear blimp above our heads there as well, or is that the iRacing blimp above our heads there? And yeah, I think the interesting thing about that is I'm pretty sure there's going to be a stewards conversation about the fact of why the gas was applied, why he was coming across the track, not going to lie, but also regarding the incident at the same time. Now, if these guys are in a voice chat, maybe one of them didn't quite understand or get the message. You know, maybe next time send it by pigeon or something, because clearly some communication error went wrong there and they ended up putting each other into the wall. Now, Sanchez and Vizcarra went at each other earlier on as well. Now we've just lost Vizcarra and Benavides. 4 Peruvian drivers out, and only one's going to finish out the 5 that started. And all of them was in 1, 2, 3, 4.
I live in Central America now, and I meet people from all around South America and stuff like that. They generally absolutely fantastic people. They're friendly and lovable. I'm just like, I don't know if I'm going to get them on a racetrack, my friend, because Virtual Racing Peru team has had a possibility at the start of this race to get a 1, 2, and 3, James. Now only Franco can get podium. And the other 2 drivers are in the pit road right now on 11th and 12th. So just by a little miscommunication, this team has just essentially thrown away crucial points in round 6.
Yeah, I don't get that. I'm so confused by that as well. But it's not that's the problem. It's the initial thing after here as well. I'm keeping an eye. Don't worry, I know where the leader is. He's halfway down, but it's not there. Look, he's in the wall there.
Oh, that's the replay. Sorry, yeah.
And then to apply the gas, that's the bit.
Yeah, but the steering wasn't moving at that point, so I'm just wondering once again, like, what if you were trying to get off the racing line, you would move it a little bit. It was stationary.
Here we go. Sanchez is going to go over the line. He takes the victory there as well. Stellar job from Sanchez. Sorry to cut you off there, Biggles, but Sanchez was just going to win the race. Philip Wyatt comes over in second with Joe Jacklin, the leading AMS, and 3rd place overall. An incredible drive by Jacklin. He just made use of everybody else taking each other out. Chad Verbose is new to the series this evening as well, and he's down in 9th place with Brendan Wright in front of him. Yeah, it seems... I'm not saying that obviously, you know, a disconnect didn't happen, because as we all know, you slam it down and stuff disconnects, and next thing you know, the accelerator goes on. And I'm not saying that. I'm just saying at the end of the day, it looks a little bit strange.
It does, James. But the thing is, like, even debating it, you've destroyed your team's chances of getting great points here. But you got to give it, because remember, somebody else's trash is somebody else's treasure, right? And Philip Watt has done a fantastic job. 9 positions gained, and being in the race. And you wouldn't think about that, would you? Like, go roll it back 10 minutes ago, and you go, would Philip or Joel Jacklin be, on the podium? You would say no, right? But look at that. All of a sudden they are. Yeah. And that's 9 positions gained for Philip, and 5 positions gained for Joel, and Cedric, the Canadian driver, in P4. 9 positions gained as well, too. So be there at the right place at the right time. There's the results for you, James.
Yeah, it definitely is as well. Franco Sanchez is in your winner with Philip Wyatt in second, Joe Jacklin third, Cedric Oahun in fourth, with Eric Harmon fifth, Richard Hearn sixth, Charles Krasik is down in seventh, Brendan Wright eighth, Chad Verbose in ninth, John Benoit in 10th, Christian Vizcarra 11th, Rafael Benavides and Vizcarra, of course, taking each other out there. Blanco then as well. Andrew Sinup in 14th, and Joan Puyo didn't really get going right at the beginning. So, yeah, very interesting, shall we say, for them guys. We have got a couple of people in for a chat, and let's start with the man who capitalised on the 4 Racing Peru drivers ending up, unfortunately, taking themselves out here. Philip Wyatt finished second overall. Philip, welcome in. How are you?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm not bad at all there, buddy. Capitalised on other people's mistakes.
Well, this was one of those weeks. We talk on a Sunday evening, and you ask me what I want to do with the season, and I want to avoid the sticky incidents and the nasty coming off the track. And again qualified badly, and T1 had to go off track because I was forced off track, not given an inch of room. But I don't know who it was. I have to watch it back. But that chucked me down even more places. And you know what? If you stick steady and keep the lap times going, these things happen. It was just incredible. People were just spinning off in front, and I was getting more and more spots. So no, I'm thrilled with that.
Yeah, Eric Harmon was off as well. Viscara and Benavides took each other out. Blanco and Krasik had it coming together. Sanchez and Viscara again taking each other out as well. So it was all about being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, and again, doesn't often happen to me. So I'm very pleased. I will take those points and go into to Road Atlanta with some work to do. This has been I think a lot of people have done a lot of practice this week here. It's been an interesting track. But the lap times were quick. The 55s we were setting, I think that's quick round here. So and this is my home track. I instruct here in real life. So it's nice to be out here in the dark because you don't often get to do that.
Yeah, are the bumps as real as they are in real life?
Oh yes, yeah. And can I have a not so much in iRacing. It does its best, but in the real world, it can really throw the car's equilibrium off and have you fighting. I mean, Sunset is something else. There's always a fire extinguisher on the right-hand side that I tell my students to point at. And once you point at it, it has this horrible habit of bumping you out to the left and you approach the tyres quick. So, yeah, it can all go very, very, very wrong at Sunset, and I've seen it many times.
Yeah, definitely.
Just a real quick question there, Philip. So if we were to, like, for example, if I was to turn up to a race, right, this is all separate. As a spectator, what would be the best corner you would recommend for me to pull up my fold-out chair to watch?
What do you like to see? If it's overtaken and fun, 17 is always a good place to be. And if you can get down to the hotel on the left, right before the hairpin, just to try and comprehend when you see the LMPs and the LDMHs now, that when they put the brakes on at the 2 mark, you just can't believe they're slowing down as quickly as they are. It's an absolute. So yeah, those 2 places on the corner into Sunset is a great spot. And then down by the hotel on the left-hand side, right over the gantry there. But there's an experience at Sebring. I mean, you can go any of those walkovers and stand in the middle as the cars go underneath and think it's an act of God. It's a special place to be.
It definitely is. We just watched it there. It was Andrus Inop who didn't leave much room on the outside there, but he was trying to avoid a recovering car. So
yeah, I had no mal feeling. I just wanted to protect myself because that's been an early in the season thing. I haven't. I've stuck my nose in where there perhaps hasn't been the opportunity, and I've come off worse. So this time, I headed off track and played the catch-up game.
Yeah, you definitely did that. You were up 9 places. You were literally second to last going into the hairpin on the lap 1 there. So a stellar job from you there, Philip, as well. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go this evening?
As always, you fellas for putting on a fantastic job of broadcasting this, the league, everybody else that was on the track, and actually another guy, the guy that won the AM, Joel, he put on a very fair race. I think he could have caught me. And I think he played it fairly calculated and used my draft just to stay away from his competition in the AM series. So he drove a great drive as well. So thanks, everybody.
Okay, well, just as a future, fault for you, Philip, if you ever need 2 commentators out at Sebring, I'm sure me and Biggles will quite happily fly out from our respective countries, come and give you an insight.
You would be a very welcome guest anytime you guys wanted to come over. 24 is not too far away.
Ooh. Biggles.
We're going to be playing in the gravel. There's no gravel traps, of course, but yeah, we'll sit down and have a picnic in some of those corners. Thank you very much, my friend.
Of course,
Philip.
Thank you, guys.
9 positions gained, and I have to pick anything. You'll be my driver of the day.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Always a pleasure to be here. Thanks.
Man, you take care. All right, and next up is your AM winner, Joe Jacklin. Finished 3rd overall. Got a bit lucky on the straight with a Viscara Benavides battle, I believe, as well. May have just ended up going off a little bit off track to try and avoid that one. But Joel, welcome in. How are you?
Pretty good. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it definitely was. Up 5 places, 3rd overall, 1st in the AMs, and just managed to avoid an incident.
Yeah, it was. I saw him nose the tail. 6 or 7 or 8 guys in front of me. I figured if I just kept it clean and stayed in the right place, something was bound to happen. And right place at the right time, I guess. And I'm not sure who it was that was just rolling across the Elman Straight there. But yeah, he clipped me a little bit. Otherwise, I think I had a shot at Philip there on those last couple laps.
Yeah, Philip did say that he thinks you're going to caught him. It was Benavides who come rolling. It was a strange incident. He went into the wall and then his throttle went on and he went across the track. Now, we don't know if he's slammed down because they've crashed into each other or he's disconnected in some shape or form, or maybe he's just hit the pedal. I don't know. But
I saw him coming across and I'm like, he's not going to keep going, is he? Oh, come on, stop. And I just ran out of tarmac there.
Yeah, we did see you taking a divert to the grass as well. Reinforces your position at the top there. Richard Hearn, of course, all the way down in 6th place. That should put you in the lead of the AMs for this week.
Oh, that'll be good. It's hard to believe. I'm definitely not one of the faster guys out there, but I just try to keep it clean and keep it on the road.
I think that was the thing as well. Consistency is the key here as well. How close was you on fuel out there at the moment? Did you manage to get, did you have enough to do another couple of laps, or what was there an issue?
Oh, I think it's, I don't know. I had my crew chief telling me I think I had like 10 minutes left on fuel, so I was that wasn't a concern at all.
Oh, because I know in the Europeans there was a few that struggled on fuel and didn't quite make it to the end there as well. Yeah, apparently so. So I was told earlier on as well. I don't think there's a time difference between the EU and the Americas. I'm pretty sure they're both 30 minutes, but maybe I might be wrong on that one. And maybe they have changed the time. Not entirely sure on that. But anyway, going forward, Joel, you're just going to kind of keep plodding away, get some points on the board and be Mr. Consistent for the season.
That is the plan. It's worked so far.
Yeah, it definitely has, and it worked here again tonight as you capitalised on other people's mistakes. But Joel, thanks so much for joining us there, bud. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
My family, my wife, that great pit reporter you guys got, CJ.
Yeah.
CJ. He's on the ball.
Yeah.
He definitely is. He's been on the ball again this evening as well. So much love to CJ out there as well. Joel, thank you so much for joining us there, bud. And we'll look forward to having a chat with you as the season goes on.
Sounds good. Thanks.
No worries, buddy. Take care.
Bye.
Well, there you go, Biggles. He said he had about 10 minutes left, so not entirely sure.
Yeah, I'll have to check that one, James, because that seems strange. But, maybe I'll just typing it up there, say about the fuel situation. But Joel did a good job there in thanking his family and wife in that order. You're going to thank your wife, obviously, in the top 3 if you're going to thank anybody. Be like my dog, my cat, my brothers, my best friend. Oh, and my wife. He got that one in there. Yeah. James, but yeah, to summarize what I'm going to wrap it up with as well, too, before you wrap the whole production on. Fantastic production, of course. Don't you forget to vote out there. But yeah, mate, they say there's no iron team. There was no I in the team of Virtual Racing Peru, and they threw that one away. Mm-hmm. At least Franco got the top step on their one and did a fantastic. They all drove well, but did not communicate very well as a team, mate, and threw that one away. So I'm disappointed, and I think the Virtual Racing team of Peru should be disappointed. But then again, Philip and Joel capitalized on that one and got those podium positions.
Yeah, they did. I'm sure the driver briefing after for the Virtual Racing Peru team will be frostier than the Antarctic. I'm not going to lie. Here as well with Vizcarra, Benavides, and also Sanchez might be in there as well, of course, having a word with all of them. But at the end of the day, guys, that is their team issue. I'm sure they will talk about this race and discuss what went wrong. But for now, guys, from me and Biggles up here in the JPB broadcasting booth, thanks so much for joining us here this evening as well, CJ. Much love as always. But for now, guys, from myself and the mighty Australian that is Dean Biggles, you all take care. Have a great week. And you never know, we might see you on the track sometime. Good night.